we've got one more minute. You all can keep making noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk amongst yourselves, make fun of my hair, whatever you want. Keep going. Not you. Ready when you are, boss.
Alrighty, it's 5 p.m. and I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Alrighty, we'll begin with the pledge. Brett, can you lead us? Everybody will stand.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, we will begin with reports, and we have Math Field Day participants. Mr. Payne, are you leading? Go right ahead.
Sure, Stacy, if you don't care to know. Okay. On November 30th, Mrs. Mason and I held Math Field Day here at the board office. This is for grades 3 through 9 who participated. It consisted of a written exam, which was timed, mental math, and physical estimation. During physical estimation, students had to estimate how much something weighed, how many cups was in the fluid sitting in front of them, how long the string was, and exactly how many M&Ms was in that jar. Today we're going to recognize the top 3 winners in each grade of 3 through 9 and the 2 alternates. They will be participating in the Regional Math Field Day in March. That day has not been released to us yet. It will be a Saturday. We will take a school bus up. But just as soon as that information is sent to us, I will pass it along to everybody, okay? And forgive me, I do not know all of the elementary names, but we're going to attempt it. Okay, I'm going to read through the list just to name everybody that did score in the top 3 or have the 2 alternate positions. If you're here, come up and see Miss Stacy for your certificate. And let's start out with 3rd grade here. In 3rd grade, we had first place Jace Madison. In 2nd place, we had Phoebe Bailey. Do we have Phoebe? Yes. In 3rd, we had Eli Drake. We had 2 alternates. First one is Kaylee Smith. And the second one is Aaron Barr. And bear with us, I'm going to go by grade, and then after this, we'll step into the hallway and we'll do some pictures, okay? So 4th grade, we had first place Brooklyn White. 2nd place, we had Morgan Goff. 3rd, we had Jonathan Mullins. Our first alternate was Araya Frederick. And our second alternate was Sophia Chapman. Okay, 4th grade. Okay, 5th grade, our first winner was, first place was Ryder Tomlin. 2nd was Xavier Sylvester. 3rd, Reese Klum. Alternate, Isabella Greenleaf. And number 2 for alternate is Kendall Frazier. Okay, 6th grade, first place was Job Carter. 2nd place was Landon Hartshorn. 3rd place was Ariana White. First alternate is Joel Lipscomb, and second alternate was Drayden Shackelford. For 6th grade, that's it. For 7th grade, we have Preston Greenleaf in 1st place. Maggie Snyder has 2nd place. 3rd place is Jeremiah McCune. First alternate, J.P. Barr. And second alternate, Bristol Woodford. Okay, 8th grade, we had first place, Nicholas Klauser. 2nd place, Asha Hess. And 3rd place would be Lacey Canfield. Okay, 9th grade. Oh, I'm sorry. Asha, congratulations. Okay, 9th grade, I had first place, Ryan Ferris. 2nd place was Anna Mason. And 3rd place was Kinley Minnie. Okay, we do have a high school team put together. They do not place, they just gather up and will compete in Morgantown for grades 10, 11, and 12. So right now, let's give all of our participants a round of applause. And guys, we'll step out for some photos, okay? Thank you, Stacy.
Whenever you came in, everybody left.
I bet my granddaughter kissed your son's day. Right on that.
Alrighty. At this time, we'll carry on with reports from the Calhoun-Gilmer Career Center Administrative Council. Dr. Barr or Dr. Minnie, whoever attended, whichever one.
Go for it.
We met, had the State Department there, some discussions about personnel and so on and so forth. There was a major personnel change that they asked us to do, which was allow the personnel change with the assistant director position. And the reason being is because there was a situation with the testing that was happening and they didn't want to lose their tester, and we made that motion, and that was approved. We had some discussion about a project that our kids worked on, and it was a Christmas project that was highlighted in the superintendent update, and a lot of the meeting was about that project. It was a correlation. They correlated the ProStart and robotics teams across the state, and they served food and did different things with robotics, and that they cooked. And it was a pretty interesting project. That we had kids that competed, and they ended up being highlighted on the superintendent's update for December. So that was a highlight of the program. Other than that, just normal business, and we wrapped up, right?
That's it. Thank you, sir.
Yep, thank you. Alrighty, we'll move
Bless
on.
you.
Excuse me.
We'll move on to the consent agenda and start with the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes listed there for December and January?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from December 12th, 2022 regular meeting and January 3rd, 2023 special meeting.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes from December 12th, 2022's regular meeting and from January 3rd, 2023 special meeting. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. All righty, we will move on to the treasurer's report, and Mr. Chesser, you have the floor.
Good evening. Tonight I have for you, at this time, schedule of checks to be written, and the monthly financial report is, are there any questions with either one of those? I know sometimes we take it separate, sometimes we take it all together, but are there any questions at this time?
Questions? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the treasurer's report. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks. All righty. At this time, we'll move into new business. And at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session per West Virginia Code 6-9A-4B9 to discuss the Gilmer County Elementary School storage building bid recommendation. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We go into executive session. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. That's fine, not a problem. Okay, do I have a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we rise from executive session. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All right. So we're back to the Gilmer County Storage Building.
So I make a motion that we rebid the storage building with the modifications proposed by Williams and Shriver, I guess.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we rebid the Gilmer County Storage Building project. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All right, now we're going to policy 2000 instructional materials. Is there any discussion to that policy?
I did have a question on 4.1. When reading it, it sounds like upon approval that this would be implemented for 6 years, but reviewed annually. I was wondering if we should add a line about the right to change it upon review. Any thoughts?
Now, where was it?
4.1.
Adoption periods. So just, put a sentence in there about, changes can be made after the yearly review process if deemed necessary, or?
Something like
is
that.
Dr. Minnie, is that what, does that make sense to you?
If you add a line to, and let me just restate this, add a line to 4.1 that states that the curriculum could be changed yearly upon review. I think that, of course, we could change curriculum as we saw fit anyway, so that line, it would be fine if that line was in there. If that makes sense. Because we,
Okay.
I mean, changing curriculum costs funding, and that you just
Right.
have to understand that, you know, if you were going to adopt a math series and the next year change it, it could cost a significant amount.
Okay.
So, but we should review it and be able to change it if we would like. If it was
Yeah,
gonna cause
I
a
mean,
detriment to the students.
To me, it was, you read it, I was under the assumption you can do that. I just didn't know if it needed to be more clearly stated, either there or somewhere else. But, I mean, I was under the assumption, you know, that we had the rights to do that at any time, basically.
And if of course, there's state adopted approved curriculum, we'd have to go with something.
Sure.
Or write in a waiver or something like that, but we could add a line in there and get back and review this at the next meeting to adopt if we need to.
Or do you want to go ahead and approve with that addition?
Yeah, we should be, I would think that would be fine if that's what everybody else wants to do. I did have one other comment on 5.1.1. Just looks like a spacing issue in that paragraph. But that's just,
Does that need to be reposted if we add a sentence? Or put on review, I mean? For 30 days again?
Which, I mean, the review should have been part of that addition with the policy, so, I mean, I know, it's changing it from what we had.
I mean,
I don't care.
Do you infer this to say, I mean, am I interpreting right that you're just not wanting to be locked into a 6-year period?
well, I don't think you're locked in because you can set whatever term you want, and it says you can review it every year. I just, you know, I think somewhere, I just wasn't clear that, you know, we have the rights to change it whenever, basically. I think it's true, it's just unexplicitly said, you know, and I just didn't know if we wanted to explicitly say somewhere in there that we could change it. I'm fine with whatever, I just wanted to be clear
And
on
is
my
that how you
understanding.
interpret it, that you're not necessarily locked in for a 6-year period, but that's just the general period?
It is the general period because of the cost and it's screened. So, I mean, if we got a publisher that we did not like, we can change it. But it's, you know, it would cost, for reading, it would cost about $300,000. So, I mean, we can do that if
Okay.
we would ever have to.
Makes you pick wisely then, doesn't it?
It makes
Yeah.
you double check and triple
Yeah.
check.
Well, I'm not hung up on the 6 years because you can establish a period. Reading this, it says unless otherwise noted, so you could establish a 3-year period if you really wanted to of curriculum. By default, it's 6. My only issue was you're going to do a year review. If you wanted to change it, we have the rights to do that. I don't know if that explicitly needs stated anywhere in the policy, was my only comment, either there or
Do you
elsewhere.
think that's inferred, or do you?
I think it's inferred, and if we found a curriculum that was a detriment to students, we would be having discussions about buying something else to supplement, and we have done those things in the past, I'm sure that, I mean, that's just something that we would do, and as far as if it's quicker and cleaner to go ahead and approve that, I would make that recommendation, because we honestly can, if we wanted to pick up an additional curriculum or something to supplement a piece of the curriculum, or redo it all, somehow we gained that much funding in a year, if we found.
I just wanted to clarify that,
Okay.
my own.
I'll make a motion to approve policy 2001 instructional materials.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve policy 2001 instructional materials. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All right, next item, West Virginia Board of Treasury Investment. Dr. Minnie, do you have an update for our presenter, Clay?
I got Clay here to answer any questions. This is a basic overview of moving funds into the West Virginia Board of Treasury Investments. You have it in your packet. There are many boards of educations that already currently have their funds there. It's a higher interest rate. We can use it like a bank account, if I'm speaking correctly, Clay. We can take the funds in and out as we see fit, and we will be able to gain more money off of interest off of these funds. With that being said, there are, I believe, 28 districts, and that's, I'd have to count, but I think he said 28, that already currently use this to have their money invested. All kinds of different economic development authorities, municipalities, fire departments, so on and so forth. So with us knowing what the interest rates could do in the future with all the government spending and that continue to raise, to remove some of our funds that we currently have in CD and county banks, to be able to move them here so we can accrue some of that interest over time, and have the security of having access to our funding all the time. We don't have to, when we take a bump on those types of things, we don't have a term limit or anything. We can take money in and out as we see fit.
See any issue with that?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session and talk about this a little more openly. I think there's more that plays into this, and where you're talking about taking and moving money from, and the community as a whole. I'm sorry. Like, we're not talking $20,000. How much money are we talking about actually moving over into
I
this?
think it's million.
Yeah.
I don't,
Mr. Money, can we go into executive session for that?
Oh,
Well, I'm saying per code.
yes, I think you can.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, we can talk, I'm gonna use people in the county's names and this and that, businesses, and I hate to do
You're
that.
talking about finances.
Yeah,
Sure.
So the code meets it.
yeah.
I mean, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Who
All right.
seconded it?
Jason. Okay, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Clay, can you?
Yeah, you get your steps in. She did it up. That's bad.
The tumor we had, she passed away after.
Did you ever think you threw
I'll make a motion to rise from executive session.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we rise from executive session. Any further discussion? No. Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. All right, we're back to West Virginia Board of Treasury investment.
I'd like to make a motion to table the discussion on West Virginia Board of Treasury Investment.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we table the West Virginia Board of Treasury investment discussion. Is there any further discussion?
I'd like to make a comment that, I think, to highlight the importance of working with the community banks but also finding the best option financially for the Board of Education. So I look forward to our future conversation on this and an update from Clay and Dr. Minnie.
Okay, anything else? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, all opposed, motion carries. All righty, we will go to old and unfinished business, which there is none. So then we will move to personnel, and Dr. Minnie, you have professional. We want to take these.
Neil, wait a minute, where are we?
I've got them listed out there to do the professional service, extracurricular, and the resignation. Make the recommendation there to approve the professional service, extracurricular, and the resignation listed there on the agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the personnel list as recommended by the superintendent.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the personnel list as recommended by the superintendent. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All right. Okay, we're to,
Neil?
to the Neola update. So, Dr. Minnie, you want to give us an update there?
We have been working with Neola to obtain a license agreement, to be able to go down through and look and see what all the service means, what it's going to mean for us here at the board office. And we got that in the last few weeks. We reviewed it with the policy committee on January 5th. After the review, the policy committee made a motion to approve to go forward with the licensing agreement with Neola. It is a process where it's going to take us a lot of work still yet, and we know that. We know and understand the process and the amount of work it's going to take, and we look forward to, finding out more information and receiving the training. But I would like to make the recommendation that we enter into the licensing agreement with Neola and update our policies. I think that will be a way for us to get our policies updated more swiftly, and it will keep us in line with state and federal code on a more regular basis, also providing us with the opportunity to update the way we do our board docs and the meeting agendas and lots of different other types of perks that we get with that make us more functional.
I make a motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendation about concerning Neola.
I'll second that.
Second.
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the superintendent's recommendation concerning the Neola presentation that we received a couple board meetings ago. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Okay, at this time, I would like for us to skip down the agenda and go to the continuous improvement section, so that way Mrs. Mason doesn't have to stay here all night and can give us a presentation real quick before we go into other business, if that's okay with.
Yeah, I was
all
wondering why
board.
she was
Yes.
here. I didn't know what she... To show off that lovely orange jacket.
It's even better.
Yeah. I like it.
It's my hunting jacket.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Well, my name is Shelley Mason, and it's been a while since I've stood up here. So I'm glad to be up here.
Do you have a timer?
No timer. I was told to keep it short. So I do want to share our data. I do think it's important. It's something we look at often, and we look at it regularly. We use it to drive our instruction. We use it to have a lot of discussion. Just so you're aware, I do meet with the principals. There's been some things that have been taken off my plate this year, which I'm very grateful for, and that has allowed me more time to really meet with principals and talk about data and school improvement. So I have typically been meeting monthly to talk not just about STAR benchmark data, which is what you have, and I can talk for hours about this, but anyhow, but we also look at PALS, we look at ELRS, we look at ESGI data, but this is what we use as a common benchmark assessment tool for our county system. And I just, you know, it is broken down. I do want you to note as you're looking over it, and there's just a lot of numbers and there's a lot of information. When it's broken down, it is in reading, and then it's in the subgroups that we have in the county that need to be really looked at. So, you know, we have the overall reading at the elementary, and then we go into the low SES subgroup. And if you're not familiar with that, it's that low socioeconomic status. Those kids who get direct CERT services. And then you go on down and we look at our special education subgroup and then kids who are serviced through Title I. And again, those are shifting numbers. But then we go into the math and then the same thing for the high school. I want to make another note as you're looking through this. When we do benchmarks, and if we were just to pull off the regular data for proficiency, you would have to score at a 40th percentile rank or above to be proficient. When we looked at the data and compared those proficiency results with the GSA data to determine what we were going to need as proficient, we raised the percentile rank from 40, which is what your RTI is, your response to intervention, those kids that need those extra services, your Title I kids. We raised that to determine that proficiency was 55 for reading and 60 for math. So those are why you see those percentages. Another common question as you're looking over this, and I typically get, is you see that it's in parentheses out beside like kindergarten and first grade, you see early learning in first grade versus STAR reading. With early learning, that is when first graders go in, and we have some first graders that go into first grade and can read. We have some kindergartners that go into kindergarten and can read. But the majority of your kids that come into first grade are not fluent readers. So those kiddos who cannot score at 775 or answer the first 5 questions on the STAR reading, we put them back on early learning or the early literacy, where that's those basic phonics questions just to see where they are. After they get to a certain point, then we move them into STAR reading. So you'll notice that the percent that participated, the first benchmark, only 23 kids were able to take that STAR reading. Whereas the second go around, we had 60%. So we're getting there with those kids, getting them to read. So that's another thing that you may have questions about. Another thing that comes up a lot when you're looking at the participation rate is especially at the high school level. It's not always close to that 100%. What happens with those kids is we've got kids that are in West Virginia virtual school that we do not make come in that are still on our enrollment. We've got kids that are homebound that are still coming up on our enrollment because there are our students. We've got kids who have been expelled, who have not taken the benchmarks. That's also, you see that. You've got kids down at the Calhoun Gilmer Career Center who have embedded math or reading that don't come back to the high school to take the benchmark data. So you've got all of those students not taking benchmark data specifically from the high school. So that's why you see some of those lower participation rates in the high school. Are there any questions? I hope I gave you enough information to be able to help you look at the information.
It looks like the, yeah, I'll keep comments, I'm good.
The other thing, I talked with administrators in our admin meeting today. One of the things I talked about, because a lot of people get really excited over proficiency, and we want kids to be proficient. But when you have a student who's scores at a 1 percentile or a 2 percentile rank, sometimes the expectation for them to bump up to 55 percentile rank at the second benchmark is not appropriate for that student. It's not attainable. It's not a SMART goal for that kid. And we'd love that to happen. But what we are working on right now is actually diving deeper into the data to see if there is improvement. So you may look at this and you think, well, there's one group that hasn't improved at all. But when you actually go back and look and compare those kids' first benchmark scores to your second benchmark scores, and they go from second to 22nd percentile rank, they're still not proficient. But they're making improvements. They've more than doubled what they knew when they came into school. Same thing if you have a kid that's at 10 percentile rank, and you do have those pods of kids that's 10 percentile rank. They may be at a 40 percentile rank, which is great for RTI. They don't need that RTI anymore. But still yet, as we deem proficient, they're not there at the 55 percentile rank. So this is black and white, yes, but there's a lot more to it. Any questions?
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm not sure I'm understanding.
Okay,
So let's just look at the first page.
okay.
I guess look at second grade.
Uh-huh,
So the first benchmark, 94% of kids participated.
yes.
And out of that 94%, the average proficiency was 33%?
Yes.
Is that how you interpret it all?
Yes.
Or 33% is efficient.
Yeah, 33% of those kids.
Yes,
Were proficient.
94% of the kids that took it the first time, 33% of those kids are proficient.
Yeah.
At 55 percentile rank.
And then the next time they took it, 37, so you had an uptick.
So
of 30.
33% of the kids scored 55 or
Or
greater.
above percentile rank. Percentile rank or above, yes.
And so what are the goals? I mean,
Are the individual school goals or,
well, like you have an average here, 32% and 38% for first benchmark and second benchmark. So is our goal 100%? Is our goal,
well, our goal is in our strategic plan. So it's improvement in math and reading. I think math was 45 and reading may have been 50. I'm not 100% sure. But we use this to determine, because our goal is based off the GSA. The GSA is what we take at the end of the year.
the general
Summative assessment, yes. That's what our goal is. We look at what we scored on last year's GSA. That's what our strategic plan is. Like it was a book.
I know what you're talking about.
So anyways, it was improvement in math, improvement in reading. I think one was 45 and 50. I'm pretty sure, I don't have them flipped. But anyways, we use what we scored last year to determine next year's, or this year's GSA.
So are we meeting this year's?
We are on track, yes, we are on track. In some grades and some grades not.
With that individualized goal, that's one of the things that we had talked, and I talked with Ms. Mason about including, and I've got some of those meetings scheduled where we're gonna go down and show a quarterly, like a quarter one goal, and you'll see the benchmark and see where we got to see if each of those grade levels reached the goal. And I think that's what you're asking about, like, so you could see on the breakdown
Yeah.
about where they're at over time to see.
You know, what our goal is and are we
on each-
reaching it?
Exactly. And we have been talking about that, being able to just reorganize that paper just a little bit, to just put Q1, the goal and the results. The goal and the results for Q2, or the second quarter, or we could do it by benchmark. I have not worked with the principals yet to outline that process, but I have talked with, Mrs. Mason about that, and it would fit into what we're already reporting in that form.
We would just want the goal to be based off the strategic plan, because that's, and I don't care to put that on there, what our goal is. It's easy.
Well, I mean, I think that would help me since.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah,
yes,
I agree.
yes.
You know, to
Mhm,
know what we're trying to achieve, I guess, know where we're.
mhm.
And I don't know, Dr. Minnie, I don't speak the language, so I'm not sure what's the difference with the Renaissance benchmark test scores and the GSA.
The Renaissance is the program that we purchased to do benchmarking. GSA has its own benchmarking. Lots of folks, it only goes down to third grade though, so I'm sure that.
Yes, we want to monitor all grades. GSA is a summative, it's not a formative assessment. You want formative assessment, you want to make sure you do formative assessment all year long to determine if you're on track to meet your goal. And the benchmark closely aligns with the GSA. So what we saw last year was if we had kids, for example, third grade, if we had kids in third grade that took reading, when we pull up that end of the year GSA, that summative data, we look back at that third benchmark and they're very similar. Like for third grade benchmark, more than likely, just within a few percentage points, that's what you're going to see for the GSA. They correlate pretty close.
And the same with like the PSAT and the SAT in the upper grades.
Would you like us to add all of those to this form so we can?
Well, I mean, I think it would be nice because
We could do that.
Yeah, we just wouldn't have that summative data until
the end.
the end.
Yeah. So I don't know, we can maybe look at last
Go back a few years.
year.
Now, the problem with that, there's always a problem. The problem is when you look, like when we did our GSA last year, and we were looking at what percentage was proficient at the end of the year compared to what our benchmarks were, we were thrilled at the close correlation. What happens though is when you look at the kids that come in halfway through the year and you look at at that, it does change your accountability data just a little bit, because you don't have that full academic year. So even though our benchmark and our raw GSA data are very close, we have to cut out kids because they haven't participated a full academic year. So I can get you the proficiency data, but it's going to be a little bit skewed because I'm looking off the accountability stuff from the kids being removed, and we count them.
Dustin, I don't know, of course, the tests and stuff, the benchmark is like, what, 3 or 4 times a year, but then the end of year thing is the general summative
Yeah.
assessment. So, I don't know if you knew that. Picking up on it.
Picking it up.
All right.
Is there any further questions or anything for Ms. Mason?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Alrighty, at this time, I would like to go back up the agenda to the information, discussion, possible action section and make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to West Virginia Code 6-9A-42, to discuss personnel and personnel matters which, if discussed in public, might affect adversely the reputation of any person. Is
Second
there-
that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We go into executive session. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. If you don't mind to stay, and I'll come back and get you.
smaller and smaller. It's like if Leonard Skinner came out and did Freebird first.
That's right.
Okay, where am we at? Okay.
Ooh, I make a motion to rise from executive session.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we rise from executive session. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Alrighty. So, let me get back here to where I'm at. Okay, so for the superintendent's contracts, terms, and conditions, I move that we postpone that item to continue further contract negotiation, and then it will be presented at a future meeting of the Board of Education.
So moved.
Okay? And then-
Second.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we postpone the superintendent's contracts, terms, and conditions to a later meeting. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. All right, and so now we are to superintendent's information.
All right,
Dr.
so, got a superintendent's meeting with the West Virginia Department of Education coming up on January 19th. That's gonna be in Charleston. I'll have a report back after I attend that meeting of what the new and upcoming trends in education are from the state. I'll be traveling to the WVASA conference on January 26th and 27th. Again, that is the West Virginia Association of School Administrators. They provide professional development on lots of different stuff. Lots of the stuff, the Neola was there the last time. It's a really good conference. It's a way to get networked and updated on everything that's coming down the pike for education. Our next meeting here will be with a work session. Our next regular meeting will be a work session with Matt Hicks. That's starting at 2 p.m. He'll be going over accountability scorecard. He will be providing training to the board, and we will be developing after that our accountability plan with different teams of folks at the district and board members and so on and so forth. We've been having those talks in whole meetings. We're getting ready to start that whole process with the strategic planning process. That process will outline a way for you to look and make sure that we're checking off all of our accountability measures, we're meeting all of our timelines, and that we meet every accountability measure 100% of the time. And you will be updated and be able to keep that, and I will provide you updates during my superintendent information piece and during the continuous improvement item agenda. I added that as an item agenda on our board meeting to meet those requirements.
What was the date on that meeting that starts at 2?
That is our next regular meeting, January 25th.
Okay, it's right down there at the bottom. I just wanted to.
Yeah, so.
So
that
we'll
will be
come in for that work session at 2.
At 2
Yeah.
o'clock, and he will be here, he's gonna provide you professional development, and go down each piece of what our requirement is to be an effective school.
Okay.
And we will go down through an effectiveness sheet with an accountability plan, and then we will go down all the scorecard, and you will be able to look at the data and see how they calculate it to reach the goal of the improvement goal. Does that make sense? There's actual
Yes.
calculations that I want you guys to be able to know, and we're gonna provide that training during that time period. Another thing that's coming up is the West Virginia School Board Association will be holding their winter conference on February 17th and 18th at the Charleston Marriott. This is a place where you get your 7 hours, and I would really urge everybody, if we can get everybody there to attend in person for the conference, I'd really highly recommend that, and hope to be there and work and find out what the School Board Association has for us as trends in education. They always keep up with the latest stuff, so that's a really good thing to be a part of, and I'm hoping that we've actually already made the reservations for everybody. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But did you send an email on that?
I did. and
Okay.
If you don't go, just let me know so I can cancel the room.
Okay.
But they're already booked.
They're
Thank
booked
you.
and ready to go.
Okay.
This is just an FYI that I'm putting out a new school emergency closure protocol, And this is to put in writing and to clarify for all staffs, everybody's roles and responsibilities. And, you know, really solidifying some things in there that I saw was potential issues for employees. Putting a time period on when we call, when we don't call, who's responsible for what, putting a real plan out there. I almost have that completed. We went over the final review of it today in our Colts meeting. And I will send that to you all as I send it out to them so you'll know and understand. It is a pretty intense document. It has had a lot of scrutiny, and I think it's a pretty good document. It doesn't change a lot of how we've done it. It just outlines exactly how we do things and expectation. I tried to do things like if we go on a 2-hour delay, teachers go on a 2-hour delay. That way they're not running their kids around trying to find, you know, placement for them. Same with school closure days, how we put school closure days down on the timesheet. Just different things like that to update what we do when we close for extracurricular activities, putting together a real process for, you know, what we do during emergency closures. I figured new superintendents, that would be something good for me to learn, because it seems like it's always a contentious issue when you're closing school. So that is all I've got.
Okay,
Thank you.
yep, thank you. Okay, we'll go to board member comments. Any board member have anything?
For my board member comments, I'd like to make a motion, we go into executive, no, I'm just kidding.
I
I'm just playing around, man. Nah, man.
I think we'll deny that.
Unless there's KFC in there, man, I got no reason to go back in there.
Anybody else?
No, I like the way we work together today, though, and I look forward to continue to work with you guys into the new year. And I think there's a lot of good things on the horizon for Gilmer County Schools, and we have the position to be a big influence on that.
Yep,
So
I concur.
Just happy to be here.
Yep. And I'd echo what Brett said, and we also today, I don't know, and everybody should have gotten it, but the new School Board Association director is giving us updates on the legislative session. And I thought that was interesting to get and try to follow through on some of those that they're working on, which we probably may get more of at the conference. So,
I have one more thing. Those that ran, I know that there was a thing from the Ethics Commission, and did you guys get your email from the Ethics Commission?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
yep,
Okay.
that's your financial disclosure form. Yeah.
I don't make any money.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I still have to fill it out.
Yeah. Okay, hearing no other board comment, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. We adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.